Game? What's a game? Oh, a game.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of DTG Fitness. So, I'm doing a chest session today. I'm starting off with a bit of a warm up. So I'm using a resistance band just on the side of the racking on the power rack, just to use as some light resistance just to warm up my shoulder girdle. So I'm doing like some rear delts. I actually do a bit of a chest fly. I then use some dumbbells to do sort of a little shoulder circuit basically. And all this essentially is just to warm up that upper body, warm up my shoulder area. I've had issues with my shoulders in the past, clicking and just getting really tight, so I tend to do a lot of warm up for my shoulder area, and since doing that it feels a lot more comfortable when I'm benching. I've had pulled pec in the past, so the reason I do use flies is to really warm up underneath my pec, because that's where I had it pull. I didn't have a tear, but I've got quite a, it's always in my conscience now that you know, something could go wrong, so I always make sure I warm up as much as I can. I don't spend too long doing it, you know, sort of 5 minutes maybe, but just to make sure that the area is really warmed up. And then once I've done this kind of light style warm up, I go onto the bar and start doing that, the more generic kind of warm up with the bar, and just slowly increasing the weight in the bench press while actually doing the actual exercise. So I gradually increase the weight on the bench, working up from the bar all the way up to my working reps, and this means that you slowly bring the weight, you slowly get the muscles used to the weight you're lifting, so that when you actually are doing that heavy weight, you haven't tired them out because you've pyramided up with a lighter weight, but what you have done is warmed up the muscle ready to be able to lift a heavier amount of weight. I tend to do a little bit, like here I'm doing a bit of back exercises, a little bit of shoulders, traps, just because those muscles stabilize everything when you're benching. So I like to keep everything active. Some days I even do some pull-ups, bodyweight pull-ups, that sort of thing, light rows. I just like to do a mix of exercises just so that my upper body basically feels really warmed up. I then actually go on to, when I start doing the bench pressing, I tend to do a legs up style bench press, which basically takes your legs out of the equation. So instead of using your legs for stability, you're using your core, and you're really using your pecs to actually contract to lift the bar. You've got no foot drive. And what this is essentially doing is hitting your chest even more, so warming it up even more. Also it activates your abs a lot more than what it would if you had your feet on the ground, because you have to keep yourself stabilized from tipping left to right, and it just activates your core basically, and allows the core to wake up and function more when you're actually starting to lift. And I'm finishing off, as you can see, with a bit of sparring with the weights and hands. Again, this is just activating the muscles, it wakes them up a bit. It doesn't tire them out too much, they're only little weights, so yeah, it doesn't cause too much fatigue, and it just gets everything really ready to go. Anyway, I'm going to switch now into the bench, and I'll show you while I go into my sets. Okay, so after my initial warm up, I go straight onto the bench, and I'm straight in with just the bar itself. The idea of this is, what I do, I really tighten my grip down, really tighten up those pec muscles, and the idea is that I'm just trying to activate as much muscle fiber as I can, fire it all up and get it ready for me to start loading the bar up with some weight. Like I said, I start off slow, I start off light, and then I work up in a pyramid fashion until I get up to basically my working sets, so whatever the weight is I'm planning on doing for sets. I just build it up gradually, and that way it reduces the likelihood of getting any injuries over time. Okay, so this is my last warm-up set. As you can see, I still pay attention to setting up properly, just because if you do set up wrong, you can cause an injury. Usually the time injury happens is either when you're going really heavy, or when you're warming up and going light and you kind of take it for granted. So just make sure you always set up properly. I think I'm doing about 80 kilo, something like that here. As you can see, it's nice and quick. Just warming up those pecs. I'm just doing 5 reps because that's what my working sets are going to be, keeping it all the same. Okay, so this is the last lift of my 7 sets. I do a bit of a gorilla impersonation at the beginning. That is literally to try and help fire my chest up. It's just a psychological thing I've started doing since setting up the home gym, to try and push myself, you know, get myself in the mindset ready to do the lift. You notice I wear a hood as well, or I've got my hoodie on, I've got the hood up. I do that because it's something that I used to do in the gym. I used to block out everyone around me. I used to wear a cap, like a trucker cap, and pull it down really low so that, you know, it blocked people out of my line of sight. It's kind of, I suppose you could think of it as being quite antisocial, but when you're in the gym, I mean, you're trying to achieve something each time. You've got goals, and so as soon as someone starts talking to you, it distracts you from what you're doing, it takes your mind off the game, and essentially it's going to affect you in the long run. So I've always wore some kind of hat to try and block people out, so that is why I've got my hood up. Hey guys, hopefully you can see this. So I'm doing a bench session. We're doing a bench session this morning. So I was doing 7 sets of 5 on 198 pounds, which is like what, 90 kilo. So not too heavy. But bench is one of my worst lifts basically. Anything pressing I'm quite weak at. I think it's because I've got quite long arms, quite a short body, so I have to actually push it quite a long way to get a lockout. So I'm kind of, if you've got shorter arms, you haven't got to push so far to lock out, so the range of motion isn't as long. Not making excuses, but I just think that's one of the reasons why bench and pressing movements of any kind have always been my weak point. Anyway, I did £198 for 5 sets of 5. I was going to do 7 sets, but it felt a bit light, so I put it up to 203.5, so about 92.5 kilo, and did another 2 sets to take it up to the full 7, and I did 2 sets of 5 with that. Now, I'm pretty depleted of any sort of power at the moment, so I've just put a slingshot on, and I'm just going to do £220 to see how many I can get out on that, just to sort of finish off basically, just to overload the muscle, just to sort of build up a bit more strength at the end of the session. So we'll see how it goes. Sloppy 6 reps. Not too bad. Anyway, that's my bench session done. So I got to go get sorted out and go to work now. But we'll be back in the gym this evening. Catch you later. So the following evening, I did quite a high intensity sort of session, and I finished off just with doing some like jab work on the side of the racking. My mate was doing some bench, so I didn't want to get in his way. So instead of putting the bag up, which I rig up on the actual power rack. I decided to just use the power rack as a surface just to jab. It wasn't about power, it's just sort of a bit of cardio based stuff really, and a bit of fun. Anyway, I actually ended up having 4 days off after this through work because I ended up getting pretty ill, so I haven't really got much more footage for the rest of the week. But I will be back in the gym soon with some new footage, so subscribe and give me a like. Cheers.